We have 5 breaking news stories from Tesla to go over with you today. First, just now, Canada has announced a 100% tariff on electric cars from China. Second, this morning, Elon Musk dropped a video showing off the new giant AI training supercluster they're calling Cortex in Giga Texas. This is as impressive as it can get. This follows a report this weekend that xAI's Grok 2 is now the leader across all categories. Yes, all categories. This really matters as Grok will be what makes Optimus in the cars intelligent. Third, Tesla just announced a brand new referral program that will juice up sales in North America. It's incredibly generous, with the referrer getting $500 and a new vehicle buyer gets $1,000 of a new Tesla. That $500 voucher can be used for so many things. Fourth, Tesla China has extended their zero interest rate promotion for Model 3 and Y vehicles yet again. You want promotions to increase sales? Well, you got them. This comes as Giga Shanghai just reported a record highest production volume this year. And finally, we'll share with you what matters even more than the Fed cutting interest rates for Tesla that is coming this Wednesday. Jeff Lutz is the ex-CVP of Supply Chain and Chief Quality Officer, and now is the CEO of his own supply chain consulting firm. Thank you so much, Jeff.
Yeah, Herbert, great to be with you. There's a lot of news, and what we love to do on this show is tie it together and what it means for Tesla.
Exactly. And a lot of this is breaking news. So about 2 or 3 of these came out this morning and several of them just yesterday. So let's go through all of them. First one is Canada has announced that they're going to apply a 100% levy on electric cars coming from China, and then 25% on steel and aluminum. Obviously, they're supporting what the US have announced and what EU have done as well. And the question is China going to retaliate? Yeah, so this is a 100% levy on electric cars. Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister, he just unveiled that policy. And it's on top of an existing 6.1% tariff that already applies today. And this is going to take effect on October 1st, includes certain hybrid passenger automobiles, trucks, buses, and delivery vans as well. So it's going to try to be as extensive as possible, comprehensive as possible, includes aluminum and steel. And there's going to be and then they're going to talk about consulting on whether or not they should include batteries and battery parts, semiconductors, solar products, and critical minerals. Jeff, so right now you've got Tesla sending cars from Giga Shanghai to Canada. What's Tesla going to do if they also now can't do that because of these 100% tariffs?
Yeah, Tesla is going to import them from Fremont. There's going to be some model and configuration changes, production changes that they'll have to do. But they have this capability in Fremont. They're just going to have to move some things around between Fremont and in Texas. This will actually help with in terms of getting utilization higher in Texas. There's a reason Tesla was sending product over from Giga Shanghai. They're doing load sharing in terms of domestic production versus exports, and Canada was one of the export locations. And ultimately what you're trying to do with all your factories is keep them full and highly utilized. So you see there's a connection to all these events. And I'm not saying the interest rates we'll talk about in a minute in China are necessarily directly connected to this, but what Tesla has to do is they have to react to the global geopolitical landscape. This is something I actually advise clients on, and they're going to have to react, and they're going to have to load share in their factories. And they've already got a plan for this, and similar to what's going on in Europe as well. They've got a plan. It's not desirable, but actually Tesla's in a good position because of their core manufacturing strategy, which is to localize factories, and they call it in the industry the source of supply. Localize the source of supply as close to the customer as possible. This is going to ring true with Megapacks as well. And what you're trying to do there is you're trying to shrink that network, get it as tight as possible. When you have situations like this, you can react better. But ideally, this is where most of the industry is going, is to regional manufacturing. You're not going to have these global mega factories that just export everywhere in the world. They're going to be sized to the region that they can serve, and there's going to be advantages and disadvantages to this. And by the way, right now the container rates have in July, and we're going to see August here pretty soon. They've been shooting up. So I mean, I think this is fine, and Tesla's going to get product out of the U.S. and they'll be okay.
Okay, thank you very much. So that's just a quick note about that. The next big thing that happened this morning is Elon Musk announced or showed a video. He was walking around inside of Cortex, which is the giant new AI training supercluster being built at Tesla headquarters in Austin to solve real world AI. This is Tesla's supercluster that's already in Giga Texas. This is not what some people are thinking is the Memphis, which is for XAI. That also is being built. So Elon is managing two of the largest superclusters in the world. And I'm going to show that quick video, and then we can... Oop. I don't know if you saw that, Jeff, but look at this. Look at it. Look how far this thing goes. It's just like all the way down there. It's just unending.
Yeah.
And just to give people a sense of how big this was last week that they showed that these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cooling, and fans had to be installed because it gets so hot. Look how big these cooling fans are. And this is all of South Center, and it's already kind of lit up, and it already looks like it's already working now. And then Elon called it Tesla's big brain for AI training.
I mean, this is no different than, first off, I mean, I think the headline is everything Elon does is at scale. This effort is going to be no different. Just as he measures the time to start and build a gigafactory, he measures the time to start and build each of these clusters, and he's trying to drive basically the amount of compute being installed and brought up and operational relative, to the number of hours and days it takes to do that. And what you're trying to do with any type of large fixed asset like this is you're trying to get your time to break even to be as near and as quick as possible. And Tesla's really set up well here. I mean, first off, the corollary to the factory is I mean, just like, and I've sent a tweet out on it, just like Cybertruck production, you see these big rolls of steel coming in, and then these rolls of steels are bent and converted and processed and transformed into even harder steel and then moved through the manufacturing process, and out comes a product. Same thing goes with these these data centers. These parameters are coming in, and this data is being manipulated, and then there's an output. And in both, in terms of Tesla's auto gigafactories and these data centers are really being done, at scale. And this is really just honestly a signature of how Elon does all of his ventures. And the fans, the water cooling, all this engineering, and then the power to drive this. Tesla is really uniquely situated to do all this engineering work. Now there's still the Google data centers, Meta, Microsoft, they've been building these things for years, even decades in the case of Google. But so now Tesla has to catch up, but I think they've made rapid progress. I would say Tesla and XAI have to catch up. They've made rapid progress, and they're really on their way.
Yeah, that's a very, very good point. I love it. Not only does Tesla have to move at speed and they're catching up, but they have to do it at scale and they're catching up. And that's to me the most exciting part, is that we're not behind. In fact, we're now considered to be at par or ahead. So I do like what you said, which is, whatever Tesla does or whatever Elon does, it's as scale, and it's got to be as big as these gigafactories. I mean, remember that? Remember when they first announced gigafactories, largest factories in the world? Now they're going to do the largest data warehouse in the world. So there's just this weekend, this independent organization that ranks all of these chat bots, and they call it chatbot arenas. They put them head to head. They test them, standard tests, comprehensive tests, and they announced this weekend exciting news. XAI's Grok 2 and Grok Mini are now officially on the leaderboard. So they had 6,000 community votes. Grok 2 has claimed the number 2 spot, surpassing GPT-4o from May and tying with the latest Gemini. So They're already at number 2, and they just started, 6-8 months ago. I can't remember the exact date, but Grok 2 excels in math and across number 2 across the board, hard prompts, coding, instruction following. This is the table that they shared, right? Grok 2 is already up here, but importantly, they said this: we're rolling out a new overview feature for the new leaderboard. XAI's Grok 2 stands out, ranking at the top across all categories. This is the table they show, and you can see Grok 2 is right up there. It's not number 1, but it's right at the top compared to, it's like ChatGPT, Gemini, Grok 2, all up the top 3 compared to all the other options out there. And then Elon said, great work by the XAI team. Thanks also to our suppliers and contractors who went the extra mile. Oh, I also want to mention that this Grok 2 was developed by Oracle's data warehouses. So Elon is taking advantage of NVIDIA's chips. They grab as many chips as they can. They're building their own, and they're using Oracle's data warehouses. They're building XAI supercompute. Now they're building Tesla. So they're just going full speed. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, I mean,
this is important, right? Because this is what's going to happen for the bot and for the cars.
Yeah, we're not even seeing the impact yet of the new Texas cluster and the Memphis cluster for XAI. I think it's just coming up, and just imagine the acceleration. When XAI, when did they start this? Just last year, right? I mean, this isn't an old company, so just imagine bringing together people all from the outside, brand new, getting your offices set up, and saying, well, you've got ChatGPT, you've OpenAI, very established. You've got Google, Gemini, very established. You've got Amazon. All these entities are very well entrenched and established, and you don't have anything. You don't have your compute, you don't have your people, you don't have anything. And all this was pulled together so rapidly, and now you see how quickly it's moved up. I would say it's a fairly objective survey with 6,000 entrants, and how fast it's moved up the leaderboard. I don't think they stop. I think they're continuing to grow and expand this team. Their compute is coming online. Now they're adding to that compute. Their orders for Blackwell are enormous. So I don't think this stops. This just continues at an extremely rapid pace. Again, this is why Elon measures things like the number of days it takes and hours it takes for them to bring up these data centers. I'm sure they've got KPIs, key performance indicators, for second and third tier type data operations for how to bring these things up and have them, going this quickly. So I just marvel. I just at the acceleration of how quickly they've gone from having nothing to being literally considered a top tier large language model. What does this mean for Tesla? What does this mean? It goes back to the whole thing I was describing earlier of you want to get your time to break even as soon as possible. So what's going on with all these language models and everything else out there, all the AI development that's happening out there, one of the big questions in the marketplace is, where's all this going to go? What's it going to mean? How's it going to drive revenue? I believe Tesla has the nearest possible, call it edge computing cases of where does all this training go? It goes into doing inference on the edge with consumer devices. I think they have one of a couple of the best and most nearest use cases. You've got Grok, which is going to be the brain for the vehicle, and we don't talk about this enough. It's going to the Tesla Robotaxi isn't just this thing we get in today with FSD with no steering wheel. There's going to be basically a sentient supercomputer, or the ability to have supercompute power inside of each of these vehicles. And of course, with the humanoid, Tesla has the nearest, I would call it, monetizable edge cases that can go to unbelievable scale. You've got the robotaxi / auto industry, and then you've got humanoids in the tens to hundreds of millions. They've got two very important near use cases. And of course, you've got Grok that can be on any type of computer, whether it's a smartphone or desktop or tablet. So I just think this whole thing to me fits together. Just how Tesla does their factories at scale. They talk about how they really focus on their pace of production and how quickly they can process vehicles, how quickly they can bring up a factory. Same thing on the AI training compute side. These same principles have been brought over. Simplicity, speed have been brought over, and it's really paying dividends.
Yeah. This shows you how quickly they put the data center up because of their experience with the factories. They know how to build factories, and they put up the XAI one, I think, in 19 days. And so then they can show you this. Elon is promising that Grok 3 is going to come out by the end of this year. It's going to be the winner. It's going to be by far the winner. So we'll see if that comes true. I can't wait, like you're saying, to experience it in the car, talking to the car talking back to you. And what you've said, pointed out, is that what's different about Tesla is the inference chip is so quick and so low power utilization. It'll be quicker, right? Like it might even be quicker, as quick as a phone, even be quicker than the phone.
Yeah.
Like when you talk to it, how quick it'll answer back to you, right? That's the promise. We'll see.
Yeah, the whole system is engineered together. The audio engineers at Tesla that are doing doing all the microphone work and doing everything. This is all engineered together. This isn't silicon supplier here, software supplier here, auto supplier here, audio codec supplier here. This is all happening together with one team, with one leader at the top that says, here's your price point and here's the schedule I want to meet. And of course, they're both going to be incredibly arduous goals, but he understands how to drive his teams and what to have them focus on. And I just see that the parallels between the two. You've seen the success that they've had in EV. Really, the only truly profitable EV manufacturer known to date. You've seen that success. You've seen that pace of scale, and those same principles are being applied here. By the way, those same principles are being applied at SpaceX with booster production and it's the same principles.
Okay, more information about what's happening with the referral program. Everybody's complaining about how do you get more sales, right? Advertise. Well, one of the most successful ways, more than 50% plus of all sales, is because of referrals, specifically for Tesla. Great product, right? You talk about, what is it? You talk about the score, the
new Net Promoter Score.
Net Promoter Score, which is like how many people who love the product refer the product. That's really critical.
Right, recommend it.
So here's Tesla North America this weekend earned $500 by giving anyone $1,000 off a new Tesla. So they paused the referral program that they had, which was something that gives referrers this credit that you can use in a very small, kind of available products that you can buy, t-shirts mostly. But now they're opening it up. $500 worth, but that $500 can be used for supercharging, software upgrades, merchandise. You can even make payments for service and or a new Tesla. This is like cash. So referrers can get $500. You have a referral link, share that with anybody who buys a Tesla. And it's all this that we just talked about. Now it's limited to 10 awards. You'll also have a chance to win an invitation to an upcoming Tesla event. The first 10 people who order a new Tesla using your referral link will receive $1,000 off that purchase price. So that's it. Buyers will get the $1,000 off the virtual purchase price, and then purchase another Tesla product and receive, oh, this is different. I didn't know this. So not only do you get $1,000, but later if you buy another Tesla product, you also get $1,000 off that purchase price. So they just rolled this out. What's cool about it is that it now is opened up to the entire Tesla shop. So everything that Tesla sells. That was one thing I didn't like about the referral credits I was receiving, software upgrades, new vehicle purchase. So if you're about to buy a Tesla, please give that referral link to Jeff. Poor Jeff, he needs to get some love here.
Yeah, no. These programs, these programs. If you notice, there's certain caps on things. Obviously, you can't get 1,000 referrals and get a free car. There's caps on things, but they're pointing Tesla consumers actually towards Tesla's own very high margin entities that they run today, where they control the fixed cost, they control the variable cost, they control honestly everything, whether it's supercharger, software upgrades. These are very high margin areas, so they can point their consumers back into their own ecosystem to these very high margin areas. This is a very smart thing to do. And it's something that really, honestly, only uniquely Tesla can actually do. So I'm glad it's back. This is when you have a net promoter score, NPS, net promoter score of 97. You know, this is off the charts. Other industry, most I don't think there's another vehicle above 80 right now in the auto industry. But then NPS actually can transcend other industries. This is higher than the iPhone NPS score, for example. If you think about some of the great products out there, and it scores high. I think it scores, tentatively usually scores in the high 70s and 80s, and that's a great net promoter score. And the 2024 score for Tesla is at, I think, 97. So when people buy their Teslas, they like them and they tell other people about them. So it's really, if you didn't have a good product, if you didn't make a good product, if you didn't have a good service experience, if you didn't have a good purchase experience, you wouldn't be able to do referral programs like this. But since it's I think there was somebody posted this weekend, it's easier to buy a Tesla than it is to buy a new smartphone now in terms of the purchase process. So this simplicity and consumer experience is what they focus on. They don't hit it out of the park all the time. And there's people that have issues, trying to call and get a hold of somebody live. There's some issues, but in general, what Tesla is doing here is they're pointing everybody back to their ecosystem. They manage their ecosystem well. They manage the product well. It's a good product. It's a good experience around it. 97 net promoter score. This is how and why you can do. If you did not have if this was, the Volkswagen, ID4, I don't think you'd have a big, referral program around it, or some of the other products that are out there. So people are excited about their Teslas, and they'll refer them. The other thing in this climate too, ad dollars, there's this great debate going back and forth. Should you advertise, or should you do things like this, or the interest rate deals we're going to talk about in a minute? And I think there's pros and cons. I don't think there's only one answer in one point in time to this argument. It changes at various points in time. The thing that you have to do is you have to test and understand awareness of product in various areas. Awareness is going to change by geography and versus time. But I think the selections Teslas have made here are very wise.
Yeah, very good. Okay, so net promoter score is the one question you ask customers: how likely are you to recommend this product? And then you take your promoters, you subtract the detractors who hate you. 97 is as high as you can get. Like you said, I give Jeff Lutz a 100 net promoter score. I highly recommend Jeff follow. If you want to use his referral link, go to his X account, that the Jeff Lutz. He has a post. He has his referral link there. Okay, so many other stories here. We got to get moving here. Another thing that happened yesterday, breaking news: Tesla China has extended their zero interest rate promotion for the Model 3 and Model Y vehicles once again. Every month they keep extending this zero interest rate, Jeff. Zero interest rate. If you go to China, they've been doing really, really well in China, and they're just now past, breaking records again, getting past what they were last year. So they had to come in from behind at the beginning of this year, but now they're headed to good outcomes by the end of this year. So so this is zero interest rate promotion. You can see this is what they did in July. This is a month ago. And they extended it, and they've done it one more time. What's your thoughts about that promotion?
I thought about these, and I think we have to be very clear with people. This is a drag on net. It's called net ASP. And what you do between MSRP, if you look at unit economics, you have the top is the manufacturer's suggested retail price, MSRP. That's at the top of the stack. And then everything in between that and net ASP is basically the cost to do sales. So the lines in between MSRP and net ASP, for example, there are things like sales allowances for promotions, which would be this interest rate reduction plan. There are things related to buyer's remorse and so forth. There are things that are inside of the cost of sales. There's even the salespeople. And when you look at what Tesla is doing here, and I've thought about this both in China and the US, this is temporary. So full stop, I think the takeaway for people watching is, number one, this is a hit to net ASP. So this will be a hit on gross margins near term. And Tesla's pretty conservative with how they reflect this, which is, I think it's good if you're if you're thinking about the name long term, they're conservative in how they do some of this stuff. So it's a hit. That's full stop. It's going to be a hit. It was a hit last quarter. It's going to be a hit this quarter. However, it's temporary. You're not going in and you're not adjusting the MSRP down where you have to go in and maybe ratchet it up later. They've kept the MSRPs, the actual sale price to consumers, stable. And I think that is important. And this is temporary. The Fed in the United States hasn't cut yet. In China, the consumer has not fully recovered. In some sectors, it's starting to recover. In some sectors, it's not. So both of these situations, one would believe are temporary. They're not going to last forever. So you think of these rate promotions as just something that's done for a temporary period of time. If you're thinking beyond 3 and 6 months for Tesla, what's on the other side of this? What's on the other side of this is that, for example, in the US, the Fed is going to start bringing rates down. And if they bring it down 100 basis points or 150 over the next 6 months, that takes all this pressure off the marginal loan rate that Tesla has to buy down working with the banks. So there's a pressure release valve on the other side of this, and that's interest rates coming down as inflation comes down. So I think we're in a good position. I think this is the right move for Tesla to deal with the environment they're in right now, which is a very, very high interest rate environment. By the way, the loan rejection rates, they were at 13%. This is the number of people that go apply for an auto loan and do they get accepted or not. The rejection rates, I think they're tracked by the New York Fed. They were going up to decade highs at like 12 and 13% 6 months ago. A new number came out. It's at 19%. So you're going from 1 in 7 or so people being rejected for an auto loan to 1 in 5. Mm. That is huge. 1 in 5 people that have every intention of going in to buy a Tesla are being rejected. So if Tesla can come in and buy down these rates and manage this side of the equation, they're going to unlock the ability for more people to buy the product. This is the resistance right now in the marketplace, besides a consumer that's obviously tightened up with what we're seeing with loan rejection rates, credit, and so forth.
Great point there. And I wanted to get your opinion on this next story, which is along the same lines. You are well positioned to answer this. Giga Shanghai produced 88,000 vehicles in July. This is the highest production volume this year. They've hit a record. They're now at this level of producing so many vehicles every month. Giga Shanghai reached a milestone of over 500,000 vehicle production this year. You can see Tesla Chan keeps track of all of this. This is the bottom down here of what are we talking about? He had so January to December, and you can see in July, this is 2024 versus 2023 production. It's like at the highest. They've never built this many vehicles in a single month. And Alex Voigt was saying this compared to the current. And look at other legacy automakers. Can they do even 70% utilization rate of their factories? What's your thinking about that outcome?
Well, in actually all over the world, auto utilization rates are very low. I mean, just to give you some numbers, and I've seen in the US anywhere between 35 and 50%. The 70 to 80% is a minimum floor and target when you're designing a factory, you're designing the operation, you're designing, how much labor, how much capital to put in the factory. The floor you design for utilization is around 80%. You don't want to design for 100% utilization, because if something goes wrong, it can be catastrophic in terms of downtime. You don't want to run a factory at 100. It's unhealthy. For certain periods of time, it's okay. So, I could do a whole show on utilization rates, but the floor that most factories are designed for 70, 80%. I believe, Shanghai is up and running at these levels, if not higher. We'd have to go in and look at what their latest capacity is. If you notice the way Tesla lists capacity now for some of the facilities, is they say greater than this number. So they're kind of leaving the window open. So it's hard to do an exact calculation on utilization, but this is good for Shanghai. Get utilization rates high. This will bring COGS down. That inverse relationship exists, and this is what they're doing here. I think this is good. This is why they're doing the interest rates. The consumer's under pressure there, and they're trying to. By the way, they're just trying to stay competitive with how others are selling cars, in region. So I have no problem with what they're doing.
Not only are they back to the original story of bigging everything in scale, gigafactories, but then their utilization is also industry leading, much higher than everyone else. And now you're starting to see it take off, and you can see that. So this next bit is important for people to understand what's going to happen to Tesla stock and what's going to happen to their sales in the next month. Is it the Fed's Jackson Hole? Powell was there a few days ago, and he said very likely he's going to cut rates. But even more important than that is what's going to happen with NVIDIA this Wednesday. Simon Hill, somebody that we've been having on this channel quite often, he's a portfolio manager. He works for Wellington Atlas, and their person who does tracking technicals released this note from their chief strategist. What's going to drive the markets? And they're saying that NVIDIA's earnings, which is going to come out Wednesday, is more important than Jackson Hole. Jim Thorne says this. So Jackson Hole Powell, he says, will not tip his hand. Yeah, he did not. They released this the day before he did this. They did not tip his hands, whether it's 25 or 50. What's important to market will be NVIDIA numbers. In my opinion, Street underestimates the demand for NVIDIA chips. NVIDIA has another strong quarter and guide. It's still trading at a PEG ratio less than 1. The Feds need to get through what is that? Do you know that? That's almost 3% in cuts. They need to get to 2%, don't they? Yeah. Interest rates bottom in 2026. 2-year yield under 4% is the tell. So what he's saying is that when NVIDIA prints their number and the CEO tells the world that demand will last well into 2026, the market's going to take off. So he's predicting that NVIDIA is going to shock everybody how great their earnings will be on Wednesday. And if it is, that's going to make the market move more than the Fed. What do you think, Jeff? How is that more important for Tesla specifically?
This could be another half-hour show. The way that NVIDIA plans capacity, they work with TSMC and they work with all the various fabs. They have to make decisions, for example, for some of the lithography equipment that are a year, 18 months, 2 years in advance in terms of what they're going to need from a capacity perspective. And how do they make those decisions? There's long-range planning, there's medium-range planning, there's short-term planning. The short-term planning is basically everything that's inside of, call it the next, 2 or 3 quarters or year. But then you've got this longer-term planning. NVIDIA has insights of, they're deep into the end application for what their customers are doing, and they have insights. Okay, and all I'll say is that they've got a pretty good understanding. And what could get in the way and interrupt those insights would be a competitor that's got an equivalent solution, for example, that could come in and be disruptive. But that's not here right now. That's not at scale. And remember, it's not only the hardware that they're shipping. They ship a cohesive system, a CUDA software system that allows all this to work. There just really isn't a real-time competitive threat. In the last quarterly report, AMD guided slightly higher for their AI system shipments, which is good. But you're talking about going from, I think, 4 billion or something in sales of 4.5, just like a 500 million guide up, and that's a rounding error for the business that NVIDIA is doing right now. So I do agree. I think NVIDIA, it's the largest stock at any one point in time. I know it flips back and forth with maybe Microsoft and Apple, but in general, it's one of the largest companies, if not the largest in the market. So its report weighs heavily on the market and how it guides for the future. So just know that, for Blackwell for the next year, there's long range planning that they have to do. They have to talk to all their hyperscaler customers. They have to talk to all their sovereign AI, customers in every geography. They've got to talk to all the medium and smaller customers. They have a list, that's probably a mile long for orders on Blackwell. And then between now and Blackwell, this is one of the biggest and by the way, I get calls from a lot of people in the industry asking me questions about this because I've done business with this company and I've been in silicon and dealt with silicon procurement, manufacturing, and so forth. And one of the biggest fallacies out there right now is Blackwell may be delayed. And we don't know, by the way, they're in a quiet period. They haven't formally commented other than to say that, there's many pieces to this system and, almost like don't believe what you're seeing out there. But all I'll say is one of the most misunderstood things is like, if Blackwell is delayed, like people think there's going to be some sort of hole in their orders. That's not the case. They're going to build more of the current system. They're going to get their cost even lower on that. They're probably going to have better margins because that ramp on Blackwell would have been lower margins, lower utilization, and not they wouldn't be at their peak gross margin. So long story short, I don't think there's a near-term problem, and I think this is the bellwether for the market. But everybody should do their own research. None of this is financial advice, but I think that note is spot on.
Yeah, it is. And also, if Wednesday NVIDIA reports and it's not great news, that's okay. If they just hit estimates, which is already like 100% more than what the actual forecasts are, it's 100% more. It's crazy. Even if it's delayed by 3 months, like you said, it's gonna come. And then Dan Ives just did a show where he was saying that for every dollar NVIDIA produces, you can expect $8 to $10 for the other tech companies to eventually showcase that value of that chip that they bought. So Tesla will eventually just come in and show this. But this is one of the best things that can happen. So interest rate cuts, then you got NVIDIA's report, Tesla will be off and running again. So thank you, everybody. Yeah. Follow Jeff on X at the Jeff Lutz, and check out his referral code for if you buy a new Tesla. Thanks, Jeff.
Check out Herbert's. Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye. I've created a website that is the most comprehensive resource for the Tesla investor. Please check it out. Simply go to my website at herbertong.com.